Tyco tender drives. A lot of people know them as the Chattanoogas. Well, there's a lot more behind it than that. Millions of Chattanooga train sets were sold in the 70s and 80s up through the 90s. Today we're not just going to focus on the Chattanooga. There's a lot of tender drives out there. I'm going to show you the absolute best way to fix these tender drives. We're going to do an all-inclusive dive in. Hi, I'm Ron with Classic Model Trains. Gotta tell you right now, this one's a bit of a doozy. It's a long one. We did a lot of work to this thing. You're going to have to settle in. You're going to have to get yourself 2 or 3 frosty cold ones and just plan a little bit of time out and sit down with us and watch this journey resurrecting this old AT and SF 280 consolidation Tyco tender drive. Well, I chose to work on this locomotive right here. One of the biggest reasons is because of this piece right here that's broken off. Something happened here, real bad. And also this is an early generation. It's a 1978 release. It's still got the 2. It's the part 2 of the 2.8, and it's got the really pretty valve gear on it. So we're going to want to get this whole thing just taken apart. I'm going to need something to balance that on. That should be a little better. We don't want to get her all buggered up. I pretty much go at it whenever I see screws. I just unscrew them. I want to take it apart to the very bottom. I got to see how it works. You know, what makes it tick. Sure. Oh God. Oh well. This is actually supposed to freewheel. It's completely seized up. Holy, what happened? I mean, sure, we're not gonna take this and glue it on or nothing, but it took a heck of a hit to seize this all up. I'm sure when I bought it, the eBay auction said that it was a perfectly smooth runner. This front truck, silly little screw, front truck, and a spring. So far, we do have something that rolls. Going deeper now into this front truck, here is something that looks like it's important. Yeah, I see movement. And right back in here. Yeah, oh, here we go. Another one of them sort of long, gosh, exactly how long is it? It's hung up in the copper strip there. Well, you're unacceptable. Pieces are falling out. And just to be annoying, they gotta run, all this wiring up here, make it so you can't really get in there. Well, we know the tender picks up some of the juice and sends it back here. Apparently it's picking up, because there's only one, look, it's got a 2-wheel pickup on it. Shameful. Absolutely. Well, I guess it has to, because, yeah, these guys ain't going to pick it up. These got traction tires on them. To get this out of the way, I see the 2 wires on this side of the boiler are coming over here. We'll get the old soldering iron warming up right now. So we got to swap this frame out. Oh, dang, she took a hit right there. Abused? This thing has been abused. I'm gonna have to draw a wiring schematic up for this. So I tried to find one last night on the internet. Nope, no idea. Okay, all this out of the way. Mess with that later. Pry this tender body off. A couple holder downers right over here. There's a couple holder downers over on this other side. Of course, nothing wants to work for me easily. Now we're making progress. Yes. Sure. So I bailed the guys from the graphics department out of jail, and I had them draw me up this nice drawing here of how the wires are working on here, of what's going on. These just go through a small hole up in the front of this tender. Get that out of the way. So really what's taking place here is these wires here, they're just the power pickup from this frame. These guys are grounded, bonded to the frame. So it's looping around to one of the brushes, looping around to the frame up here, and then it's also sending the juices from these pickup wheels up front so we can run the headlight and the smoke unit. These little strips here where I unsoldered everything from, they're doing what they're supposed to do, but this side over here is supposed to be coming from the chassis. Oh, there's our pickup right there. There. Throw that in. Da-da-da, power pickup over here, power pickup over on these 2 wheels. Boom, boom. I'll put this on my Classic Model Trains Facebook fan page so it could be searched out, so it could be shared with the world. Yep, maybe I'll throw it on some Tyco forums. It's gotta be useful for something. Still not gonna mess with this feller too much right now. I still wanna get this taken apart. What makes it tick? God, that frame is just absolutely hammered. I'm trying to get these wheels to come out of this broken. Okay, steps just came off when the, oh yeah, steam chests come off. Blah. Is this how we take the front cow? Cut catcher off. It's not a cow catcher. That's what they say. We're gonna have to glue that bad boy up. It's got a heck of a crack. This thing really took a header off the table. It don't want to come off until this coupler's off. There's a pin right here. Pull that little feller out. Oh, I'm going to lose that. Then the coupler will come out. Yeah, this makes sense now. Work on getting this pilot off. We'll give him a little glue job. Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus. Maybe zinc pest got to this thing. It seems kind of zinc pested up. Is that a word? So we got this other frame here, which is straight and looks really good. I've taken these off before, and be danged if I can figure it out. Oh, look, more frame broke. Jeez. Yeah, that looks like zinc pest. Well, if it just all break off, then I wouldn't have to deal with this. Crumbling. Ooh. Either something broke or I'm making progress. Yeah. Comes our suspension component pieces and wiring. And we just need this. Come on now. Boy, it's really stuck in there. More frame falling apart. This is half plastic and it's half really poor metal. Okay, there's that. I mean, look. It's just yuck. Wow. So, and shoot. This one doesn't have that in there. Which also tells me that this piece, because if I put this on it, then the metal is going to be touching. So we're going to have to run wires externally. Sure, that's fine. Well, we'll do the same thing that we always do. Now that we've got just the locomotive taken apart. Like, it's not all the way taken apart. The smoker unit's up in here, which you would normally get to through this boiler cover. These snap in, and then once all the little snap parts are wore out, then they fall off all the time. The underneath of this boiler comes out. Here's a lock right under here, which of course is proving to be difficult. There's another one right over here. This cab has been glued on, I see. Finally, that comes out. God, that was like pulling teeth, I'm telling you. Now we really got her taken apart. We can do some serious fixing now. 2 wires are gonna go to the headlight, sure. These will probably, they're soldered together. Yeah, unsolder those, pull this out. Steam unit will come out. Bell, I believe, is probably holding some stuff in. Easy, slowly, careful. There it isn't, yes. Okay, oh, look at that. Poof, 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 poof. Loving it. We're going to desolder these 2 wires. We are going to toothbrush and some Dawn dish soap all the plastic pieces, get all this taken apart. We're going to clean up all the old grease on these wheels right in here. And there is sufficient amount. There's a lot in there. Now I might do this by hand. I might put it in the ultrasonic cleaner. It looks like I could do the ultrasonic on it because these are plastic. They're not painted. So we won't lose any of the painting detail, and it'll happen a lot faster. I'm not going to put this in. The locomotive body will be done by hand. This frame, it's been spray painted. Put that in there. We're going to remove the paint off of that. Replace that. Clean up all these detail parts, and we'll get ready to reassemble just the locomotive. We haven't even got over here yet. I'm sure it'll run. I mean, why wouldn't it? It should. Well, here's how that frame came out. It was 10 minutes at 125 degrees with just some cheap degreaser, and sucked that paint right off there. Now, of course, this is used as an electrical pathway from the axles up, and then this screw back in here, something. So I need to paint it. I'm just going to paint the sides, though. I'm going to put some tape over the bottom and the top, so that way we don't got to scrape off any paint to get the juices to flow, because you couldn't only see the side anyway. This came out nice. It did have spray paint on it, and now it don't. So starting to rebuild her back. I see that there's 2 types of frames. This one here being the full metal one. This royal blue, you can see that it's got, like the one I took off, it's got a groove in it right here. And that's that screw that's got the juices. Now, I would rather have a full frame like this than one of these half-ass things. And now that I look at it, you can see that this is starting to get the zinc pest in it also right there. One of the things to look for when you're buying these, the good frame. I want the full frame. And I believe that we'll get into some of these other ones a little bit later. This has got this real nice copper looking truck in it, and it's got the metal pinion gear. Yeah. So this is telling me this is the better truck. Well, I'll show you some other ones. We'll get in there. Don't worry, we'll root around. I took the smoke unit apart when nobody was looking. I shouldn't have done that. I should have filmed it. But I was just sitting here, this rod, it just slid right out. You know, this was riding in here, okay? And yeah, I just pulled it out, and then of course the springs fell out, and the last thing to fall out was that little washer right there. So it sits in there like this, okay? And then this guy, I just pried him out, real gentle like. So I thought this thing was full of mold, because you can see down inside there. So I came up underneath, up under here like this, and I pushed up. And then I came up to the front, and I just grabbed onto this, and I just pried, and she started coming up, until it kind of finally came out. Then it dawned on me that this is a cloth wick, which is absolutely dry as a bone. I keep setting this down on the ground bad and bending this heating unit up right here. Heating unit, we'll take well, let's just do it right now. See if that's any good. Go to horseshoe mode. Yes, yes. 1, 2, completely open. I mean, it ain't changing, it ain't nothing. And it's not surprising. These things are made to puff for 2 days. This thing stops puffing before the Christmas tree's even put away. I mean, it would have been neat. Is it just the element that's burned out? Can we get a reading from here to one side of this? No? Yes. Yeah, that element, which is just this fine little fella right there, gone. I don't even know if I want to put this stuff back in. Another key thing about this, oh, here's what's going on with this bell. Why is that bell stem so long? This plug, it sits on top of here like this. It's just a piece of plastic. And then when you put you fill it up, you got to dribble it all over this. And that doesn't fit very good. But when you put the bell in, then it seals, it's supposed to seal all that up some. I guess I got to assemble all this back in there, at least this part, so the bell has got something to sit in. This puffer part, it ain't going to do any good. Back in the old days, these were made out of leather. And you could oil them, and they'd swell up so that it would go puff, 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 puff. This one here, it has absolutely there's nothing going on inside there. So it ain't moving any air. It ain't doing anything for us. What do you do? This was held on with a piece of tape that went all the way around it. And then they had a piece of tape back over here. That's the smoking unit in a nutshell. Yeah. Yep. Sure. Now that we got everything cleaned up, I was like setting up these shots of all the parts, show you all the stuff. This is just the locomotive. This came out nice. Of course, I had to paint it, and then 10 minutes later, I had to handle it so I can make sure I could put thumbprints all over it, get it all over my hands. When do you start working on putting all this back together? Wheel sets, they're gonna make me crabby, trying to time them all up. Now, we already know our smoker don't even work, which I didn't, that's fine. I knew that. We'll just get rid of those. We don't need them anymore. I glued that little rubber guy down inside of here so it doesn't fall out. Put the bell in, make it stay where it's supposed to. Work on getting that up in there. It gives us all that nice weight. Remember these 2 locking tabs I had such a heck of a problem with? Well, it looks like we put this in, give it a little push down right there. Okay, we'll leave that cab off till a lot longer later down the road. So this assembly, this is all functioning, pretty much done with the boiler. These little wires are good to us. I'm gonna run them right out where they originally came. I did do a check on the light bulb, pulled a continuity. 1 wire down this side, 1 wire here on this side. Yeah, good looking locomotive. I'm gonna play this horrific game. We know that's at the back. We know that's gotta go back like that. We gotta come in like this. I'm gonna give all these things just a taste right now. Then we're gonna put that bottom cover on because we need something to hold all this together. Whether I tape it on or something, because everything's loose right now. It's much too hard to do anything when they're all loose, flapping in the wind. I've got this feeling like there's just gonna be nothing to screw it to. Okay, do we just gotta hold, it's just gotta be held. That helped, getting that suspension on. These are just tied up in a huge knot. I probably even got them on backwards. If that's even possible, I've figured it out. But we got to get the steam chests in, and we got to get all this lined up. And at this time, I have no secrets. So while I unknot this unbelievable mess that's going on, we do know that this goes at the back, because I cheated and I looked at another locomotive. Plus the pin is right there for the tender. So give me a bit to figure all this out. I figured out what I had going on. Just moments after I had the gear, this whole assembly was in upside down. As soon as I took this back apart, I flipped everything over, and now we are a lot closer to what we need. This is facing the somewhat right direction up here. It faces down, and it's going to be pushed in, locked in here. Oh, it's just almost like it's falling together, sort of. This part, now as we know, this has to go up in here. This and this have to ride in there and go in there. This assembly looks like it's in pretty good shape. It ain't all bent up. And I don't really know if I don't think there's any secrets to this. And I'm pretty sure it's like you get one side and then you go to work on the other side, and then the first side will fall apart. And then you work on it and you go back and forth until you lose your mind. Now, I don't do this every day. This is pretty much like my first one here. I'll dial back off, and when I find a secret, then I'll come back on and I'll say, guess what? I just found out the trick. This rod, all this timing. Oh my God. This is why I don't ever really like to take this part off, because you lose all of this. But we had to because of that frame change. It just had to happen. Ugh. All right, here we go. Holy moly. There. Running smooth, clean, fresh like it's supposed to. Here's what I found. We got to keep all this, it's got to all stay together. This arm right here, it's got to stay straight up and down. It will like to kick back, like this will spin around, and then the arm, instead of being straight up and down like this, shuttling back and forth, it'll be more laid over like this. And that just creates havoc. This guy right here, which has a name, the eccentric, eccentric crank rod that runs the valve. This one wasn't even in time. It was loose and just spinning around, so it was always out of time over there. I had to look at another locomotive several times just to try to double, triple, quadruple check if I had everything going right. This front, this pilot, it's not enjoying staying on. One of the little tits down here, and it looks like, yep, they are now all broke off. That's great. So I think I'm gonna have to use some CA and glue that on. It'll bond to the metal. I mean, it's not gonna be the tightest thing in the world. Whatever you do, don't glue this down, because you gotta lift it up and pull it back and move this. Oh, it took like 6 Ozzy Osbourne songs to get this on. So I'm listening to it on the computer here when I'm not recording. I don't got nothing cool to solder to up here though. Now what do we do? More research. More research is involved. Did you guys know that there's 15 cataloged consolidation locomotives that Tyco made from 1973 till 1992? That's a lot. Holy moly. Well, I spent a bunch of time digging around, and I've got 8 of the things myself. And I want to show you guys all the different consolidations that Tyco Brown Box had offered throughout the years. In 1973, they offered a Santa Fe in an 080 wheel arrangement. This one had the motor up inside the cab, and it used a traditional worm drive like the Pacifics and most of the steam locomotives that Tyco has. Yeah. It wasn't a tender drive is what I'm trying to say. This only lasted for about a year. And then in 1975, they reintroduced the Santa Fe as a 280, and this one was a tender drive. In 1975 to 1977, they offered the original Chattanooga in a 280 reel arrangement, cab number 638. Starting in 1977, all the way through 1989, they offered the Royal Blue in a 280 reel arrangement, cab number 638. Only offered in the 1978 catalog is the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe, a 280. Once again, cab number 638. Starting in 1978, they re-engineered the Chattanooga. It is now only available as an 080. And it was available from 1978 until 1986 in this particular locomotive configuration. Once again, cab number 638. Starting in 1978 through 1983, they offered the Southern in an 080 wheel arrangement, cab number 27. In the model year 1979, they introduced us to the Union Pacific Consolidated. It was a 280. Once again, cab number 638. These are rare, super, super rare. Dirty Dan's Trains, he had a little thing up here about a month ago where he was trying to find one, and he reached out because he didn't even think they were even offered. It's in the catalog, but nobody knew if there was anyone in captivity anywhere. And some of his subscribers had reached out to him and sent in a picture of what it looks like. So the Union Pacific Consolidated is available in a 280 wheel arrangement. For 1979 only, the Clementine was unveiled to the world. Cab number 5 in an 080 wheel arrangement. 1982 only, they offered the Great Northern 080, cab number 4178. Kind of a rare one. 1982, they gave us the Gulf Mobile and Ohio, a 280 this time, cab number 1356. These are kind of rare, and they're expensive. I've seen them anywhere between $80 up to $225, which is the one I paid for mine. Oh God! But it was brand new, in the box, never used. So, what's a paint job worth, right? Slip into 1982. That's the best last year for Tyco, in case you guys were wondering. They sprang on us the Canadian Pacific. It's an 080, cab number 2394. These are a little bit rare, you know, not bad, but just kind of. You don't got to pay big bucks for them, but they're, you know. According to the catalogs, in 1982-83, they reintroduced the Southern. It's got a different catalog number, but I can't seem to find any. I'm not sure if somebody just misprinted the catalog, because the numbers are pretty close to the original release. I don't know. I can't find anything that might look like it. So there might be two different Southern consolidations out there. There might not be. Now, in 1987 and 1990, they gave us the Chattanooga once again in an 080, this time cab number 1261. And this one's a little prettier. They got some make it look nicer. They painted the boiler. It's got a little silver on the front of it. And the cab has got a red roof. It's a little more prettier to look at. Yeah, we're getting kind of close to the end. And then for the 1991-1992, the Consolidated was not available as a separate locomotive. It was only available in a couple kits. And this one had been replaced by a Mahano made, and they had it stripped down to look like an 080. Some people think it's a Mikado that just didn't have the front and rear trucks on it. It's got a cab number of 917, and you can tell from the way the bottom looks. You can see that the it's completely different from anything else. So these are the 15 different locomotives that are available out there, and some of them weigh more than others. I'm going to throw them on the scale and see what's going on here. Let's take a look at this. I come to find out that the older locomotives, they weigh more than the newer one. The 75 to 77 Chattanooga release weighs 14.1 ounces. 14.1. Then we start to lose it a little bit. Wait a second. Oh, here, this one here, 13.6. Then we're down to 10.2 for a 1978 release. The Clementine, 10.1 ounces. The Southern, getting down there to 9.9 ounces. And wouldn't you know it, one of the most expensive Tyco locomotives I got, this bugger's only coming in at 9.6 ounces. Ugh, what have you done? Unbelievable. This one over here, from 1978 only, 14.1 ounces if you remember. This one here, made in 1982, it's got a plastic. It doesn't have that weight up in there. This is quite, they put a lot of weight in the tender, they must have, or I did when I worked on it. This is one of the first things I ever worked on, before I even had a channel. What have they done? I think I did it. Huh, yeah. Yep. There's why this one weighs so much. I've got, it's got 2.5 ounces stacked up in there. Otherwise, it would weigh absolutely nothing. They're getting their power off this right here, which would pick up the juice off of this frame. And you can see that the wires for the smoke unit and the headlight, they're wired along underneath here. So we just need to do that. We just need to extend some wires, and we'll really have something then. Yeah, thanks for letting me disassemble you, little buddy. To root around, that is actually an aluminum. Huh, they look very similar. Although this one looks like it's copper for some strange reason, and this one looks like it's aluminum. We need to find a clean way to get juice through here. And I've been working on it quite a bit. Remember we have these copper strips underneath here? that were soldered in, and we have the wires up over there and over here. We can't run the hot wire going up through there because if these strips are underneath there, it's going to short out on this chassis. But we can run a ground, for this locomotive ground, picking up the wheels. I'm going to take these and cut these little nibs off, and then I'm going to swap this plate out for this plate. Then the extra wires that I had, I'm going to solder them together, and I'm going to put some heat shrink on it, and I'm going to run an extra wire from where the headlights go back here so I can solder this fiasco on. Trying to make it look as nice as we can. We got two different styles of chassis frame here, and we're doing what we got to do. These guys here, you just give them a couple squeezes, fold them back and forth, they'll break off, hopefully. Hello? So we'll keep doing that, swap this out, at least it'll give us a place to put our wires on for the headlight and chassis ground going back over here. Well, I took that wire and put him right alongside here. Got a splice right there and an unexpected splice right there, which is really close to the end. But I glued it in with some CA on the top of this plastic plate, and we got this little wire sticking up right here so I can solder the tender wire on. So we'll have a very, very similar electrical path. Now, every time you look at this thing really hard and move it, the steam cylinders up front here falls off, and then you lose all your timing again. This is as far as we can go on this. We finally got the frame replaced. Yes, everything is rolling, smooth, beautiful, and gentle. We're gonna get these electrical wires out of our way. The old chassis grounds. One wire in the front, one wire in the back, just so we can get in here and root around. I want to take these little C-clips off right here. Jesus clips. I call them that because when you shoot them across the room, you go, Jesus. Get in there and catch it, try to get it off. They're a launch hazard. You can rest assured. There's one out of our way. Oh, sure, that one just came off really easy. Number two. Let's get these screws out down under here. Oh, I caught it. Oh, man. Yep. Shot off. Caught it with my elbow. Loosen up that motor. Work on getting these little buggers out. I should probably mark what's the front and what's the back. Put a dot on the back. Put a dot on the back truck. Because these kind of things, they'll get confusing. I know it. I'm going to put a dot on the back of the motor, too. Let's pull the screw out on this rear truck. Gently pry this little feller out of the way. There he goes. Got to make sure we put these wheels back in the right direction, Gives us that extra room to get that block out. Everything's falling apart now. I wasn't even looking. This rear lid snapped on. Gently work on getting that guy out. There he goes. Oofta. Get that block off. And the old power torquer comes out. There's our frame right there. Idler gear right here in the center. There's a significant amount of components to this too. Here's got dried up grease. This is not spinning well at all. Carefully lift this guy up. Come on, come out of there. Come on. Oh, the grease. It's just holding it. Oh, did not want to cooperate. Now we got to take off this pinion gear right here. Normally, you can just get in there with your fingers. Give him a little pry off. There he is. That one's in good shape. Then you can take off this larger reduction gear. Sometimes I like to call it a bull gear. Super carefully roll him out. Another one of these idler gears coming out. Okay. These little pins, this is all the stuff that's got to be cleaned up right in through here. Odorless mineral spirits. Q-tips. Put this someplace where you can knock it over, ruin your paint job, and everything's just got to be scrubbed. Scrub it, scrub it, scrub it. Clean all the grease out of here. Clean any grease that might be on these little gears. All shiny, shiny. Clean these pickup wheels. Get them shined up. Axles. These areas down in through here, they got to be nice. Lots clean to do. 3 days ago, Classic Model Trains, the YouTube channel, as you know, it just celebrated its 2nd birthday. Fantastic. We've been doing this for 2 years together now. And to celebrate, I decided that I'm finally going to get myself an email address. Yeah, There's no reason to do it now, and you can always do it a little bit later on, right? Classic model trains at AOL.com. AOL. Remember that sound?
Welcome.
Yeah.
You've got mail.
They're still kind of out there doing stuff, and you can get mailboxes from them. It's like the old days, old trains, old email addresses. Yeah. I also fixed the links in the descriptions for you can directly link to my Facebook fan page, Classic Model Trains, and you could directly link to my eBay seller site. I made them full operational link. You just click on it, and it should take you right there. If I've done everything right. I've tested it out on my own computer and it seemed to work. This is kind of a long one already. Well, let's get back into it. Jewelry cleaner you can get from the Walmart. I'm not interested in disassembling this thing to clean it. There's just two risks. Brushes flying over. Got it. Barely runs. I guess because it's laying on the output shaft. Sure. Then we're going to let her soak for 5 and then hit it again. I mean, it's not the zzz like I'd really hoped it'd be anyway, but that was kind of pathetic. Wow. Power torque. Leading the way. Domination. We got her all nice and dried out now. We're going to give this thing just the tiniest drip of oil right over here. Just a little bit less than too much. So if it's too much, then it contaminates your brushes. This side over here, a little bit, just a little taste. Oh, sure. Yeah, that motor didn't even turn over when I first put it in the water. Pretty happy with that. Absolutely. Over on eBay, get these Calumet. Sure. 515s, they're supposed to be for the tender drives. Get these old ones out of here. Ugh. God, that's a monster. Look at that. Make sure you got your grooves cleaned out. No debris. And in there, a lot of times these wheels, they do crack. I've seen quite a few. Fortunate that this one hasn't. That happens when they're stored out in a shed or up in an attic. Everything's expanding and contracting at different rates. Keep them climate controlled. They'll like you better for it. Alrighty. Stretch out mode. Stretch it, hook it, spin it, flip it, around it. Piece of cake. You gotta make sure they're in the groove. Check them for that. You don't want it to be twisted either. This one's got a twist to it. Now to assemble all these gears up over here, I'm gonna use some synthetic multi-purpose super lube. Not much, some, little. These just come around this pin right in here. Got a pin in here, a pin right up in here. These gears, they'll ride on the bottom. You want to give, this flush part down here, needs a little something. A little gear, get this one on here. A little gear. This gear, reduction gear, it needs some love here on the back side where this little gear's at, because you can't get to it when it's on. He's going to go gear down. Then our teeny tiny pinion gear. Make sure you hold this side of the motor so you don't jam it out through that plastic. Nope. Right on the ground. Oh, I see it. Try this again. Teeth go in. This washer piece stays out. You got to get these teeth, these gears all meshed up. Not too tight though. You don't want to jam it into the... See, I'm checking shaft end play right here. You want a little bit of... Pathetic, ain't it? These things are like 3/30 seconds. They're certainly... I don't think they're a 1/16 of an inch. And all the torque is being put through these monsters. Yeah. All of our axles are going to be in here. So we want to give them a little taste. A geared one up here. A geared one down over here. And this idler. And then, of course, all these gears here are going to need a little something on it, too. And we'll be able to better lubricate those once we can fire this up and spin it. But now we got to fight all of this. Back and forth in it in there. This does only go on one way. There's my dot on my engine. There's that dot right there. Put one of these guys in for the front. Put one of these guys in for the back. Then let's get this motor bolted in there. Well, aren't you a bugger? Huh, that makes it easy. Put those in at leisure. According to my drawing, we're going to pick up power from this side over here. One front truck assembly. Snap it in. And then put it in backwards like I did. So you can take it off and do it again. Okay, put it in this direction. Yeah, looks better that way. Oh, we forgot to grease that dang unbelievable. Don't forget to grease your axles. Should be an easy enough fix. Sure. Get that in there. Put this on the right direction. And this guy's so long, he's got a screw. Don't forget him. Now we got to get the Jesus clips on there. They're actually called C-clips, but they're really not that rare. I mean, you can pick them up at hardware stores. It's just that special trip you got to make to do it. Ah, to success. Get these bonding screws put in. Hold this juice flow path down. Come on. Yeah. What are we going to get out of it? Hook some juices up. Is this thing turned on? Oh, I did. Yeah, absolutely nothing. Mostly nothing. Goodness. These guys do need a little love on them, though. I probably got that all over the traction tire. We're running at 40%. Look at this monster pull. 60. Yeah, that's just off the chart. Guess we'll run her in for a little bit. God. Gotta love it. Tender came out nice. Cleaned up real good. Get these holes through the little hole on the... Right down... Yes, here. We solder up our wires over here, and I want to make sure that I get the hot wire that comes from here. Oh, it's got to go there. Super important. So now that we just check that out, go ahead and stab these in. This tender body is just going to clip back on real nice. Two there. Yeah. Make sure this is sitting there. Take all this excess, jam it up inside the old tender here. Steam chests are down. Oh, every time I look at them, they fall out. This dang thing, sure it's got a name. I don't know what it is. It's fully seated. We got to put our front steps on. That's what they are, yeah. Front steps. Come in at an angle like this. Pin on the bottom. Roll them in over here. Yeah. Pull this headlight out as we go down with it. And I've already done it. Pick stuff up and blew it. She ain't going down in the back. I think it's because my pins are sticking up too far. These guys. Sure. Yeah. 2 more epic screws. Oh, we're getting so close. I can almost taste it. That didn't do much of anything. That was pathetic. It's right there. My hands are in the way. Oh, yep. See that? Oh, the steam rods are out again. So I got to take everything apart, put the chest back on. I can't get a break. Can't get a break. And we're back. I took a piece of electrical tape and I cut it down to 1/4 of an inch so I could put it right here to protect these wires a little better. We got everything in now. Wheels are, pull the excess wires up from underneath the boiler, up into here, and then we'll just kind of tuck them in behind the boiler cover. Sure, the boiler cover. Our cab. These cabs are pretty cheese because they slide on, and then that's about it. This one was glued on, maybe because guys like to pick it up from the cab. Don't do that. Got this sweet coupler to put in up here, along with this super sweet little teeny tiny pin. It's a friction fit. Get this pilot truck screw in. You gotta make sure this is on the boss where it belongs. Yep. This thing is now all back together. Better than before. This stuff's gotta be all oiled up here. If it moves, it needs just a little tiny taste. Both sides too. Just a lot of stuff on this thing, Let's take it to the track and see what she's gonna look like. Well, it looks good on the track. Let's see if all this work is gonna pay off for us.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Well, one thing I did neglect to do was clean the wheels with the old fiberglass pencil. That light was flashing on and off. So let's shine up all these. I'm gonna go through this, make sure we didn't clean these, and then try it again. So that was bad. It's still got this really jerky motion, but you can see the light in there. It's losing power too. So for whatever reason, this tender isn't delivering the amperages like we want it to. And I think I got an idea where it is. Unbelievable. The tender axles weren't picking up the juices very good. So I cleaned them up again and I put some conductive grease on there. So yeah, it was just a little bit of a power problem. That is the best looking Tyco consolidation I've ever seen run. Well, we're doing about 8 volts right now. You know, I don't expect it to creep. Yeah, she quits at about 7. Did them drivers just lock up some? Looks like they did. Well, this only took 7 hours. And more, are they finicky on their juices. Tell you what. My switches are all set right. Nope, guess they're not. Even after I got the thing running, you know, moving up and down on the rails, there was a lot of issues that still needed to take place. Them side rods, they were binding up, and it did get worse and worse where I was able to finally actually find it, make a couple adjustments on it that needed to happen to get it to go again. So overall, I think I spent like 10 hours of filming and working on this thing to get it going. What's my thoughts on tender drives? I really thought if a guy was to give it everything that you can, that it might turn out to be somewhat decent. But apparently, no, it doesn't. They're pretty to look at. They're not very good feet. They don't run very well. Let's take a little flyby of this thing now. Pulling some aero-specific Tyco freight cars. I'm Ron, those classic model trains. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.